Well, hello, this is Rham Cunningham. Welcome to another episode of Fort Smith Out Loud. My friend here, Mr. Phil Blackburn from First Presbyterian Church. I represent Things to Do in Fort Smith, and we're here in this lovely establishment here in downtown Fort Smith with my friends Jen and Sarah here from Bookish. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
It's not great weather out there, but it feels great.
It's warm in here.
It's warm inside here. That's right.
The power of words have made it warm.
That's exactly right. Well,
not the heater at all.
Not the heater. That's right. Well, we're excited to be here today. You know, many years ago, I got behind a microphone, and I just kind of stayed behind a microphone. I'm now calling it Loving Fort Smith Out Loud, and over the years I've ran into people who also love Fort Smith Out Loud, and now I just bring cameras with me and we record about loving Fort Smith Out Loud. So Phil, we were talking to Egley Herndon a few weeks ago just about things about Fort Smith, and we're here to do the same thing today.
Yeah, and what we wanted to do for a little while is talk to people about what makes them proud to be in Fort Smith. And you guys started a small business here in downtown Fort Smith, and so we thought you might have some insights as to why you guys are proud to be here in Fort Smith.
I would start with the people.
The people?
I mean, I was thinking about how I ended up here and sort of how I've evolved, because I grew up in the River Valley, and my son's about to graduate high school, and he just wants to get out of here. And I keep trying to say, why? It's great here. But my husband was very active in the music scene when we were kids, and whenever we, got together, he just wanted to be in Fort Smith, and I was like, wow, we could go anywhere. But he sort of helped me see that the people here are just as good as the people anywhere else.
Love it.
You spend time traveling the world, but everything that you need is right here. And I think once you realize that and, put yourself out there to cultivate that, in your own life, then, Fort Smith is just as great as any other place.
It's a great answer.
That's a good answer.
No, that was great. I know that when I'm asked, why I'm proud of Fort Smith, it's businesses like this that are willing to take the chance and willing to come downtown Fort Smith, because so much movement is happening down here. And when I see a new business pop in, I'm very excited. So that makes me proud to be here and support you guys.
Yay.
Phil, you said something last week about supporting local and how to do that. I want you to kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, I think it's important, if we want there to be options here in Fort Smith that we value, we've got to support those options. And Bookish is a great example of that. There's other small businesses, restaurants, cafes, coffee houses, that it's important for us to support in order for Fort Smith to be the community that we want it to be.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, so it's one thing to say, isn't it nice we have these things, but then we got to put our money and our time where our mouth is to make sure that they stay thriving and viable, and it's best for all of us if there are good small businesses downtown. It's nice, like Bookish, to be able to walk in and look at the owners and see them and see the people who put their kind of blood and sweat and tears into downtown Fort Smith and into their business. So I encourage everybody to do that.
Absolutely. Well, last week I had a comment on a thread that I'd put on Facebook, and I made the comment. I said, making a life to live in Fort Smith worth it. And it's not quite Mayor Baker's life's worth living in Fort Smith, but it's very close. It's making a life worth living right here in Fort Smith. So
what's your dream for Fort Smith?
Well, we have some big dreams for
great.
our little piece of Fort Smith, our little place in Fort Smith. And one of the things that, when we're thinking big picture and we're really setting big goals, we would love to see a literary culture develop here in Fort Smith that is a draw for major authors as they are touring to promote new books. Tulsa is right down the road, and they have an amazing literary scene. And we're certainly not Tulsa. We don't want to be Tulsa. However, we are in that part of the country, and authors are coming to that part of the country. So we just need to do what we can do, whether it's create a literary festival or host, events that grow and garner more attention, to get those sorts of folks here in the River Valley too.
What do you mean by literary culture? Help us to understand what that means.
Well, Sarah.
Well, I think, one of the things about literature is it sort of opens the world up
Sure.
for you. And one of the things that's really frustrating is to read a book and not have anybody to talk
Yeah.
to about that book.
Definitely.
So I think we're becoming that place. We talked a little bit earlier about how shopping local and supporting local businesses is a reflection of who we want our community to be. Well, that's what our bookstore is. Like the books that we have on our shelves, they're a reflection of our customers and the things that they like to read and talk about. So that's sort of how the culture starts, I think. And I don't know what the end would look like exactly, because you would just bring more people into that. Working with UFIS has been really fun. Working with the private schools up and down, the block here. So, it reaches all different ages and occupations and all kinds of different people. But it is just sort of a reflection of who we are. I don't know if I answered that question, Brian.
No, that's great. Your dream for Fort Smith?
Well, I mean, my dream for Fort Smith is that it would be a place that continues to develop these types of ideas. Where you can go and have conversations and you can think things, and there's places and people here to have fellowship with and spend time with. Fellowship is kind of a churchy word, but to spend time with and talk to about ideas, about real things in the world, where we're not just passing each other and saying, boy, it sure is cold outside today, but we're saying, did you read that? Did you hear about this? Did you talk about that? Did you see that? And to me, that's what's happening specifically in downtown Fort Smith. To me, downtown can do that in ways that the suburbs can't. And you see that in other communities. And you see people then gravitate towards that. And so my dream is for downtown to be kind of that hub of conversation for Fort Smith. And I think we're on our way, which is why I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you kind of stole my answer, but that's exactly right. My dream is exactly what's going on right now. Businesses that open here, people that want to invest their time and their energy and their money right here in Fort Smith. And that's my dream, and it's happening. So that means I'm living my dream. I love it. So, how do you love Fort Smith out loud? There's really no wrong answer.
Okay. There's a lot of pressure in there.
My first, I guess, answer would be we're all over social media and we're sorry for that if you get tired of it.
I know nothing about that.
But it's a way to promote not only our business but the downtown community that has been so welcoming and really supportive of us. So, yeah.
That's one way.
That's great. Well, showing all the things that you guys have coming down here, that to me, that's loving Fort Smith out loud. That's bringing something to downtown, bringing something to Fort Smith for Fort Smith. And you guys do an awesome job. Phil, loving Fort Smith out loud.
Yes, we're for it.
You're for it? Yeah. Voting for it?
Voting for it.
All right, well, tell me, how do you love Fort Smith out loud?
Well, personally, I mean, I've mentioned I'm pretty passionate about supporting our local businesses, as these two know. And I think that's an important thing that I try to do. And being positive, I get kind of tired of people not being positive, which is what you and I had talked about when we started this. Being positive about Fort Smith. I love Fort Smith. I think it's a great place to live. And I've been to a lot of places. And so I think just that continued positive attitude about this being a good community, a good place to live. We have lovely people here, wonderful people, and celebrating that and acknowledging that, getting to know those people, that's important to me as well, and building relationships with lots of different folks.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm glad we're doing this. We got together and said, you know what, let's just go around and talk to people in Fort Smith, and it just makes sense to do. And once you kind of get people going, they're happy about it. They love Fort Smith, and you can see it, in their faces and hear it out of their voices. Okay, well, ladies, thank you so much for letting us come hang out.
Yeah,
we love it. We love Bookish. We love downtown Fort Smith, and we do all that out loud. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back onto another episode of Fort Smith Out Loud.
Peace.